When you have a busy day ahead, try Batiste Dry Shampoo. It helps to support healthy hair by giving you the power to wash your hair less, reducing damage caused by washing and saving you time to do whatever you need to do. Plus, Batiste offers a wide range of products with amazing, long-lasting fragrances to match any mood. Check out the new Batiste Texturizing Dry Shampoo, which adds grip and texture by removing excess oil. Refresh with the best. Buy Batiste Dry Shampoo in store or online at your nearest retailer.
Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I am your host, Joanne Crone, joined here by my co-host, Bree Tucker.
Why, hello, everybody. How are you?
I resist the urge to sing, Bree. Aren't you proud of me?
The hills are alive. Now you got me doing it.
If you're here with like the No Guilt Mom podcast, you know we just break into song all the time. It's like, why come up with something to say yourself when you can borrow somebody else's words?
Exactly. It's either breaking into song or breaking into quotes from movies and TV shows.
Quotes from movies and TV shows. Exactly. Well, we have such an amazing interview for you today. They're with our friends, Cindy and Jen. You might have seen them on the Happy Mom Summit. They wrote the fabulous book, The Parent Compass. Cindy is a 10-time published author, mom of 4, and a retired college counselor. Jen is an author, mom, and current private college counselor. Together, they authored the book, The Parent Compass. Navigating your teen's wellness and academic journey in today's competitive world. They help tweens and teens navigate middle and high school, culminating in the college admissions process. And we hope you enjoy our interview with Cindy and Jen.
You want mom life to be easier. That's our goal too. Our mission is to raise more self-sufficient and independent kids, and we're going to have fun doing it. We're going to help you delegate and step back. Each episode will tackle strategies for positive discipline, making our kids more responsible and making our lives better in the process. Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast.
Welcome to the podcast, Cindy and Jen. We are so excited to have you here and talk all about teen well-being through these high school years, which Bree and I have just entered.
It is scary.
With our children. So welcome.
Thank you so
much for having us.
They're scary years, but they're doable. We can do them.
Well, I'll just say, I always say it's scary, and Joanne hears me say this all the time, because my expertise, my background is in 0 to 5. I've been pretty much winging it since they were 6. And the whole teenage years, I feel like I've gone back to like the toddler preschool age, but with way better vocabulary and a lot more eye rolls. So,
well, Jen and I, we love teens.
I personally love teens, like love them even more than little kids. Like, oh, you're so cute, but what do I talk to you about? And with teens, it's like they get sarcasm. You can get in with like a deeper level with them. And so I love it. And I'm so excited to dig in with you guys about your work, because this issue of teen well-being really comes up a lot, especially in our balanced coaching community, because we have a lot of parents in there whose kids are entering high school, and just like how to really make sure our teens are good mentally and are handling all this increased pressure that they have on them well, and what we can do as parents. I mean, what are you guys seeing in terms of the pressures that teens are facing right now?
I mean, Jen and I, like you know, Joanne, we have devoted our careers and our, passion and our love is working with teens, and they just have a soft spot in both of our hearts, whether we've parented them or not. And I've parented a few of them, but I think, we are seeing obviously great increase in pressure that's been added onto by, the results and the impact of COVID. But kids who are stressed out, anxious, depressed, overwhelmed by school, by their parents, by the college process, by the world that's surrounding us with all sorts of icky news. And that was really a big part of the reason why we wrote the Parent Compass together, to try to kind of get beneath that and pay really close attention to the mental health of these teens and what parents can do to help improve that.
I love that, because it's hard seeing like what our teens are going through right now. And it's hard to figure out like, how do we help them through it? what can we do as parents?
Our field is education consulting. So we are college counselors and have been both working with teens for each of us over a decade and a half. And so I would definitely say that things have changed over time. And the big catalyst for us was the college admissions scandal. Cindy mentioned we had been noticing that teens were stressed out and burned out. And so we wanted to write the Parent Compass because we were tracing a lot of that to exactly what your question is, to parenting patterns. And we were seeing this cohort of kids that came into our offices and they could not speak for themselves and they could not even schedule appointments with us. They didn't know how to do that. They didn't have opinions. They couldn't articulate who they were, what their values were. And then we were seeing another cohort of kids who really were thriving, who could have really meaningful and in-depth conversations with us, who could schedule appointments with us, had lots of opinions, lots of interests. And we were tracing those things to these parenting patterns. And what it seemed to come down to was this kind of keeping up with the Joneses mentality and the micromanaging and the overscheduling and the, well, you're not going to get into college if you don't. But that's actually not really what the research shows. And so we wanted to kind of get this message out there. We wanted to get the truth out there, which was, I guess if I could boil it down to one thing, it would be that research does show that it matters more what a child or teen does in college than where they go. And so we really, and that's a Challenge Success. If anyone hasn't heard of Challenge Success, go check them out because they're awesome. But we really wanted to get that message out there that our kids thrive when we equip them with the skills to thrive, not when we push them into something that we think that they should be doing.
I 100% go with that because I feel like as a parent of my oldest is a sophomore right now, and I just am constantly going back and forth between, am I teaching you enough life skills to do things on your own? And that's the other thing too. Like I have to tell you, and I don't know how everybody else feels about this in podcast land, but a lot of times when I'm pushing my kids to do stuff on their own, like, hey, make your own orthodontist appointment, that the scheduler's looking at me and I'm like, I'm not in charge of your schedule. You know very well when you're going to band practice and when you have something after school. And then we had the added joy of being in a divorced household. So my kids have two different households. And I'm like, you know when your dad can take you to the orthodontist. I don't know his schedule. Trying to have them like have those life skills that they can do things on their own, but at the same time, not feeling like I'm completely failing my kids when they're like, well, so-and-so's parents do all this stuff for them. And it's just like, am I screwing up at every step?
That's I want you to know that you are following your Parent Compass by doing just that, by equipping your kids to learn those basic life skills. You're not taking anything away from them. You're not punishing them. You are equipping them. And so you should feel good about that. So we will just say from our expertise, that's exactly what you should be doing. And you should be doing that, in other ways as well. And it doesn't mean we cannot ever help our kids. Certainly when they need to brainstorm or when they want to role play or figure some challenge out and they want your input, if they seem receptive to it, that's always a good thing to ask. When you're sharing this with me, do you want my 2 cents or do you just want to kind of get it off your chest? But that being said, I think that's terrific, what you just described.
I'm going to record this and play it every day.
Yeah. I will tell you to piggyback on that. And we actually wrote this into the book. One of my most impressive students who just had it together and like just really was just so impressive. I sat with her the last day that we worked together and I'd watched her over time. She was meticulous. And I said, what is it? What did your parents do? I think we're both always trying to learn from our students. And, I think our students are our best kind of parenting instructors when we're looking at how they were parented. And she looked at me deadpan and she said, well, they made me do hard things. I mean, just without skipping a beat, she said that. And that has always stuck with me. And so I think that's sort of what you're saying, your kid has to do hard things and that's how they grow in their resilience.
We're hitting that time of year where my brain gets so overloaded in December that I look for
anything to make life easier. And I have to say, Brie, that Green Chef is one of those services.
Yes, Green Chef is there to take away the dreaded, oh my goodness, what are we going to eat for dinner tonight? You can eat clean all holiday long with over 80 weekly meal options each week, featuring things like quick and easy, protein-packed, calorie-smart, or my personal favorite, the keto options.
And you don't have to lose track of healthy eating habits during the holidays because every Green Chef customer gets a free session with one of their registered dietitians who can walk you through how to make clean eating work for you, which is very cool.
And I have to say that I have been loving their recipes lately. They put things together I have never thought of. This week, we're trying the lemon basil caper pork with sauteed cauliflower, bell peppers, almonds, and feta cheese, my favorite. Their recipes make it so easy to support my wellness goals without skipping on flavor.
For Green Chef's best deal of the year, get $250 off with code NGM250 at greenchef.com/NGM250. That's greenchef.com/NGM250. And don't forget to use that code NGM250 to get $250 off.
Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for eating well. Hey, Aubrey here, and I wanted to share one of my favorite gifts to give during the holiday season, a Storyworth book. It is the most amazing gift ever. Storyworth is an online service that lets you create a special and unique gift of someone's story. I've given Storyworth books to both of my parents, and it has been their favorite gift, hands down. And did I mention it is so easy? Storyworth emailed my parents questions every week that I handpicked from their massive list of questions that they have. All my parents had to do was open their email and answer them. That easy. I asked my dad questions like, did you have any rules that you set for yourself as a parent, which you immediately broke? And he did. I even asked both of my parents, are you more like your mom or your dad? And they shared a lot of really amazing qualities that I didn't know about my grandparents at the time. Then at the end of the year, Storyworth compiles all of their answers, puts them into this gorgeous book that covers everything. My parents love showing us their books, and I personally love getting a chance to read them. With Storyworth, I am giving those I love a thoughtful and personal gift from the heart that preserves their memories and stories for years to come. Go to storyworth.com/NGM and save $10 on your first purchase. That's storyworth.com/NGM to save $10 on your first purchase.
It's so, so true. And even I click on the clickbait parenting articles where it's like, parenting expert says one skill parents need by the mom of successful kids. And it's Esther Wohicki, who is like the mom of YouTube CEO, 23andMe founder. Like she has all these successful kids. And the thing she said, her parenting advice was, don't do something for your kids that they can do on their own. And I was like,
yeah.
It's great advice.
And it's funny because as we're raising them through the high school years, we're trying to equip them with some skills that will help them in college, like the basic ones like doing laundry and changing your sheets and boiling an egg and some of those basic skills. But Jen and I were talking a lot about how important this is in everything we're seeing with mental health in teens, that you have to also prepare them for the mental health piece of when they leave the nest. And a lot of that happens while they're in high school, to be able to have those conversations and those check-ins, to let them know you're in their corner, to get them help when they need it, professional help, medication, whatever it might be, to help them through some of these times that can be pretty tough in these teenage years. And so for them to feel supported and listened to and heard, and that you care about their mental health, they respond well to that. They see you as less of kind of the bossy parent and more as a kind of partner or a supporter or a cheerleader.
Yes. And one thing that you say that parents need to do is to ask good questions. And when you're looking at that, like what kind of questions do you recommend parents ask?
I think we're all conditioned to ask when they get in the car, when they, trudge in the door, how was your day? Yep. And that never leads anywhere, right? Fine.
Yep.
Stop asking.
Oh my gosh.
Whatever.
So much grumpiness from my daughter when I asked that.
So we actually, we even consulted question experts. We listed a ton of sample questions that you can ask. They're all listed in the Parent Compass. One of the ones that I like is, did you ask a good question today? And that actually comes from an example that we gave about a Nobel laureate who tells a story about how when he got home, all of his friends' moms were asking, what did you get on your test today? Or how did that assignment go? And his mom, what he asked was, what was your good question that you asked today? And he credits that to all that he then achieved. And so I think I don't know, Cindy, if you have another one that you really like, but that's one of my favorites that I think really opens up the door and gets them thinking, oh, I should be asking good questions. What's a good question I can ask tomorrow?
Yeah. And I mean, you can get more fun and funny with them too. Like, you know, if today was a theme song, what would it have been? And then your kids can start thinking about lyrics of songs that they like, or they think maybe they think you're weird for asking that. So a lot of times,
Joanne's kids could knock that one out of the park.
There you go. There you go. And, you know, kind of the rose and the thorn, like what was the highlight from today and a low light from today. But even to be more creative, one of our questions is, what is your tennis ball? Or what was your tennis ball today? What was the thing you were chasing after? So what excited you? Or what was something funny that happened? You know, so we kind of distilled down our favorite, probably 40 or 50 questions. And I personally, on my own, try to kind of rotate through those with my kids when I feel stuck. Because one of my kids is a mumbler. He doesn't emote very much. He kind of talks with his head down a little bit and the words kind of blur together. And my husband turns to me and I turn to him. We're like, did you understand what he just said? And so if we can get the right question and get him on a topic that excites him, the mumbling goes away and it becomes, a conversation instead of just a grumble.
And doesn't that make you so excited when you've got a when you've got a mumbler or the one that just gives you the one word answers and suddenly you've managed to find it and they start talking and you're like, oh my God, I don't want to say anything. Don't move. You might scare him.
No, we high five after that.
Right?
Not show excitement.
Don't leave the room. We high five. We're like, did that just happen? That just happened.
Play it calm. Play it chill. I don't want to know I'm into this conversation. Can't let him know I'm into the conversation.
So true.
That's so true. But with teens, it's very, very tricky like that. You have to monitor your own emotions because they are so aware of changes in your tone. And sometimes, the teenage brain, it's been known, they misinterpret things all the time. And that is something that I feel like I'm navigating through right now as a parent, is knowing that my kids' reactions to things aren't necessarily things I've done, but things they're misinterpreting that I've done.
It's like really another language, right? We've got to think about what we ask and oftentimes the time we ask it. So food really helps. Devices away, obviously help from the distraction. Sometimes the car ride is good because there is less to do in the car. But I do think that, finding that right moment, and when they walk in from school, the last thing they want is to be peppered with questions. They just, I think do need that downtime. We all do, right? Like we just sort of want to, decompress a little bit before we download our day.
Yeah, I think it's a good point.
Asking good questions is one component, but there's also, once you get the answer to a question, you have to be a good listener. So how do you recommend that parents listen to their kids?
Because it's more than just, I sat there and listened to what you said, right? There's got to be more.
Yeah.
I think one of the challenges is that as parents, we really quickly want to jump in and fix or solve or give advice. And the reality is, the vast majority of the time, that's not what they're looking for. They want to vent. They need to get something off their chest. And something that I saw long ago, but has stuck with me, is the image of the fact that the words listen and silent are equal. They have the same letters. They're just in a different order. And I think that is, think about it, right?
I never realized that.
Think about it. And so I think that it is actually such a wonderful image and depiction for what it means to really listen. It means that we need to zip our lips and be silent and absorb whatever our kid is telling us. I think beyond that, I think some I would be making body posture is a really great way to show that you're attuned. So if the person that is speaking to you is sitting there with their, legs crossed and maybe hunched over a little bit, try that and see if it makes them feel like you are with them in the moment. The thing is paraphrasing back to them. Not only does it force you to stay in the moment, because it's easy for our mind to wander if our teen is talking to us about this or that, but paraphrasing means you have to pay attention. You have to be in the moment with them. And then also it makes them feel understood because you're repeating back to them in your own words, meaning you digested what they said and saying it back to them. So you can say something like, so what I hear you saying is, and then go there. And then also eye contact. I think in our world of distraction, the ding of our cell phones is so intoxicating. And I think that, if we're talking to anybody, I think a lot of these skills go toward not just teens, but honestly, anybody, a spouse or a friend or whatever the case may be. We're looking down, every time our cell phone dings, we're not listening, or we're not showing that we're listening.
My son is playing a game right now on his computer where he's a thief and the cops are after him. So I'm so excited about this new app, Give As We Grow, where instead of being the quote unquote bad guys, kids are practicing giving back.
That is so cool, Joanne. I really wish that there was something like this when my kids were younger that got them excited about giving back to others and helped them build a better understanding of what it really means to volunteer.
Give As We Grow is the first of its kind free educational mobile app for children ages 8 to 11 that teaches kids via fun, service-focused minigame quests to tap into their unique talents and interests to help others.
And did you know that studies show that there is a biological connection between generosity and happiness, and that volunteering improves people's physical and mental health? I mean, kids who volunteer typically do better in school and are less likely to engage in risky behaviors. And that is something that I think we all want for our kids.
Ready to spark a new movement in generosity? Find and download Give As We Grow for free in the App Store for Android and iOS. And for resources for the whole family, visit giveaswegrow.org. This message is sponsored by Greenlight. It is so hard to raise kids who know how to manage money. Bree, right now, my kids are all about earning money for presents. My daughter wants to get presents for all of her friends, and my son is doing a Secret Santa with his friends.
Oh, I hear you. And if you're looking to raise kids that are financially responsible, we have got a lifesaver recommendation for you that you need to check out. It is Greenlight. Greenlight is a debit card and money app made for families that gives kids and teens an easy and fun way to gain financial literacy, all while giving parents peace of mind.
You can send instant money transfers, automate allowance, and even keep an eye on kids' spending with real-time notifications. Meanwhile, your kids can begin their journey towards financial autonomy by learning how to save, invest, and spend wisely.
So sign up for Greenlight today and get your first month free when you go to greenlight.com/NGM.
That's greenlight.com/NGM to try Greenlight for free. Greenlight.com/NGM.
So I would say make sure to, maintain eye contact and either put your phone away, put it in another room, keep it on silent, keep it on do not disturb.
I just want to add one more comment on Jen's listening, which we were really fortunate that our book was endorsed by one of our all-time favorite authors and also podcaster and PBS host, Kelly Corrigan, who's written some wonderful books. And her most recent book, they're all New York Times bestsellers, but is called Tell Me More. And just using the title of her book and the words tell me more, or I hear you, or what happened next, are all you really have to say when your kid is unloading, because it's another way of acknowledging that you're there and you're with them. And if there's more they want to say, you're there to receive it.
And then also, don't take offense when you say, tell me more, and they're like, there is no more. I just told you everything. It's done.
Yes.
And you're like, I got half a story, but okay.
Okay. Yes.
And it's just how they work. It's just how they work right now through the high school years, is that really making sure that you're supporting your kids, their own interests, instead of trying to steer them in a way you think they should go. How have you seen this show up in your work with parents?
For me, the way it's shown up with kids is the ones who tell me, I'm only doing this because my mom or dad are making me. And, or, I don't really want to do it, but I've heard it looks good for college. Or, those are just cringe-worthy moments to have as a college counselor with a kid, because it's heartbreaking, really. They're not choosing to do something because they enjoy it. They're choosing it because they think it's a means to an end, or they've been told that they kind of need to do it. And we do share some pretty brutal case studies of kids we've worked with or kids we've met along the way in our book. And the one that comes to mind is this student that I talk about that my family and I met on a vacation. We were on the same tour bus, and this poor kid, he was traveling alone with his parents. He was an only child. He was a high school junior getting ready for his senior year. So this was in the summer. And we just started making conversation because we were on a bus ride and our kids were about the same age. And I said, what kinds of things are you interested in doing for fun? And he kind of looked at both of his parents and he said, well, I'm a diver, but I really hate it. And the parents kind of turned red, and then he sort of, and I said, oh, I actually might have said, tell me more. And he said, well,
Ouch.
my parents have made me dive
Tell me
and
more.
swim, since I was really young, and I don't like it anymore. I want to quit. I'm really burnt out. And I said, wow, that must be really, challenging. What else would you want to be doing with your time instead of that? He said, well, yeah, it takes so much time. I want to write an article for the school newspaper. Or I want to have a girlfriend. I want to go to the prom. I want to, do different things. And this was the one thing. And obviously he was, reaching out in desperation, sharing this with a family of strangers. But we've heard similar stories in our offices of kids who are just unhappy with the things that they feel like their parents have chosen for them. And our comment would be, hang on, hold the phone. Like, we once were teens and we got to do teenage life. It's their turn, right? So even if they're making a choice for an activity or something that just doesn't click with you or appeal to you, or you think it's not worthwhile or this or that, it's not up to us to choose that. In fact, the best ways we can engage with them are to support the things that excite them and to let them educate us and teach us more about the things that excite them. So we've really got to be careful that we're not pushing our kids into things that they don't like spending their time doing, because honestly, they'll grow to resent you. It's pretty terrible. They will be miserable. And we're not telling them, we see you and we want to let you choose. You can try a few things and then settle in. And it doesn't mean some things won't get hard, or you might get bored over time, or you might get a little bit of burnout and take a break and maybe then go back, or maybe not go back. But those activities and outside interests are really not up to us to choose. It's up to us to drive them those places if they need a ride.
And what I hear you talking about is making kids stay in long-term activities so that it looks like good in a college application. Like, that is no bueno. But like, sometimes as a parent, I find that my kids are really reluctant to try. I have to be the one to be like, listen, I just did it with a leadership camp this past summer with my daughter. It was a week-long camp. We got a friend to go with her. She didn't want to try it. And I'm like, listen, it's just a week. It's a day camp. Just go and try it and see what it feels at the end. And I really got pushback on it. Like, the first morning, it was like, Mom, I don't want to do this. Like, you're forcing me to do it. Parents shouldn't force their kids to do things. And I'm like, short term, try it out. Turns out she loved it. She wants to go back. So there's like a difference between the long term.
That's exactly what my question was. Like, because I feel like with the way things are, you guys were talking about this, like everybody with their phones, like, especially recently with the pandemic, I feel like so many people, kids and adults, we've all gotten used to being our little cocoon, our little home, staying here. I can talk to my friends online. It's fine. I don't need to be in real life. And I feel like as parents, we're a lot of times like, okay, I have to, like, come on, push you out the door, get the heck out of Dodge. You need to go do something. But at the same time, it's like Joanne just totally exquisitely put together of the whole, like, where do you find that line, right? Of what's pushing too much and what isn't, I don't know, what's needed.
Yeah, that's good. Where is the line? When do you know, like, it's not beneficial for the kid anymore?
I mean, I say it really comes down to communication and following what you think are kind of some of those signals. We've all been there as parents and wanting our kids to just be exposed to certain things. But I think it's the reaction sometimes to it. If that exposure didn't go well and wasn't so successful, and it should never be like, see, I told you so. I knew you would like it. It could just be like, I'm so glad you liked it. I'm so glad you got to try that. That's a really neat life experience, or good job for trying. And now we know you don't like it, So I think that fine line comes just with communicating with your kids in a more open way, and the check-ins of, how are you doing with soccer practice right now? I'm seeing, a lot more exhaustion than I usually see, or a lot more bruises, or a lot more, disappointment when you come home from practice. What's up? Or do you want to try something new? Is there something new I can help you explore? Or, whatever it might be. So I think it's kid by kid, but it does come to, there's the fine line, but I think we kind of know when it goes from, let's just try it. I think it would be great. And you know what? If I'm wrong, totally my bad. But if but if it turns out to be great, I'm glad you did it. Yeah. Check it off.
You could check it off your list.
Exactly.
Yeah. And helping them know that if they realize that they don't like something, I think that it's just as valuable as finding out that they do like something. So a lot of kids put all this pressure on themselves to have it all figured out when they're a freshman in high school. That's just not age appropriate, quite frankly. And so, I like to tell my students to explore. And if you figure out that you thought you were going to like engineering, but you absolutely hate it. Great. Now that gives you a little more information on what you might like. So just kind of reinforcing that message that it's always great to try. And then if you find out that it's not working for you, it's all right to move on and find something else that does.
Absolutely. I think that this discussion about trying new things, asking questions of your kids, and then making sure that you're listening to them and that they know you're listening to them it's so important. I've read The Parent Compass. It is a phenomenal book, and everybody listening should go out and get it right now. Thank you so much, Jen and Cindy, for coming on.
Thanks for hosting us.
And we'll talk to you later.
Okay, as a mom of teens, I was so excited to talk to them because I constantly feel like I like a compass spinning. It's a perfect example of the whole parent compass. I feel like a compass that is spinning. I never know which direction to go with my kids. Am I going the right way? Am I going the wrong way? I don't know.
It's interesting how they said, like, usually with your parent compass, though, you know the way you want to go. And it's all about tuning out that outside noise and following like your gut for what's best for kids. Like, especially you, Brie, because I mean, you have all the knowledge and you have all the expertise and your gut says yes, but like all these outside forces are coming at you and being like, no.
Right. And oh my gosh, am I doing this wrong? Maybe I should be doing this differently. Yeah, you're right. And sometimes it's just a matter of listening to our gut and feeling a little bit more sure about what we should do. But everything that they said, I for people that watch this episode, because we're recording them now and they're on YouTube, you can see me the whole time shaking my head. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. There's so much good in it. And we hope that you got a lot out of our interview with Cindy and Jen. And until next time, remember, the best mom's a happy mom. Take care of you, and we'll talk to you later.
Thanks for stopping by.
Are you looking for something to listen to with your whole family? Then check out 6 Minutes, produced and created by Gen Z Media. With over 200 twisty, cliffhanger-filled episodes, 6 Minutes tells the story of 11-year-old Holiday, who is pulled from the icy waters with no memory of who she is or where she came from.
3 years ago, Brinley Pasternak helped the Anders family uncover the truth about Holiday's past. Now she'll need them to help her find the truth about hers. In 6 Minutes Out of Time, the long-awaited sequel, Cyrus Anders is found unconscious near the mysterious Elixir Academy in Florida, and Brinley learns the school may have a shocking connection to her missing mother.
Dive in now and get the most downloaded family audio adventure in history. Follow 6 Minutes wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen early and ad-free with the GZM family subscription.